How can I use my money to make my money so that I am not trading time for money?
What is one money move that every woman listening should make in the next 30 days?
Don't have an individual brokerage account, open one.
You're giving people inspiration that you really don't need that much to start.
I just wrote an affirmation one day and I wrote, I am an investor.
You didn't have a financial advisor. You're not a financial advisor, right? So how were you able to even figure this out?
So the way I would explain this very simply is
welcome to the podcast, Megan. I'm so excited that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Having you on the podcast for me was so important, especially after that conversation that we had, and we'll get all into it. But I just want to give the audience just an understanding of who you are as a person and why you're just so special to me. But you are a realtor here in Dallas. You specialize mostly in the Dallas and Plano area.
Yep, exactly.
And then you're also like a whiz when it comes to investing.
Yes. Super passionate about investing.
I think your story about how you were able to take 7,000 and turn it into well over six figures is actually quite insane.
Thank you.
And I just love what you're doing with that information and sharing it with your brand, Money Moves. I just wanted to bring you on here so that you can kind of share some of your wisdom, but then also some of the other things that you're into, because you're really into fitness, right? You used to be a personal trainer and just your story. And so I'm super, super excited. I'm super, super grateful that you decided to come on my little podcast.
Thank you so much.
Megan, are you ready to share your wealth and nurture your wellness?
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right. So before we get started, I like to have my guests kind of give us a peek into their journals. And I'm going to start off with some prompts that I'm going to give you. Okay.
Okay.
So tell me, what is an affirmation or a scripture or a quote that you've really been resonating with lately?
That's good. I'm going to actually refer back to what Onika preached on yesterday morning.
Ooh, nice.
I loved the story that she was telling. There was a daughter in the story. Her father gave her land. And then she goes back to her dad and she says, give me the springs also. And what I took away from that was we have to have faith and we have to be expectant when we ask for things.
Yes.
And I think that that's a big part of my story is developing the mindset and the faith and being able to trust God in his provision. And now where I'm standing is I understand God's been able to provide for me so much. So now when I ask him for things in the future, it's with faith and with gratitude, knowing he's done it before, he's going to do it again.
I feel like we talked a lot about that during our sit down. We had a phenomenal sit down. We talked about just expecting more and like remembering the things that God has done for us. And recalling that back so that when we're coming to him and asking for things, we are asking with boldness.
And we have an abundant father. Like he is so big and he is so loving and he is so generous, and really tapping into the love that he has for us as his daughters is so important because he wants to provide and he wants to bless us, and we have to have the courage and the boldness to be able to ask him for those things and then trust that he'll deliver that.
I love that. So what is something that you are looking forward to this week?
This week? Oh, I have a closing
tomorrow. Nice.
So I've been in real estate for 4 years and I have never paid for a lead. So I've never bought a lead. I've never paid for a Zillow lead. Every person that I've worked with has been someone from my sphere, meaning friend, a family, not my family, but like friends, families, referrals, or someone I met at an open house. So all organic relationships. And this one is unique because it is a Zillow lead. And so I'm really excited to be closing that and growing my business in that way.
That's so good. So it's like you're getting a return on your investment.
It is. And the most exciting part of this is I'm going to be closing the amount of volume by the end of June that I closed in all of 2025.
That's so impressive. The fact that this is going to be like your best year, right?
Beyond.
Oh,
last year, 2025 was my best year.
Wow.
And we can get into that, but I think that there's a big piece of my testimony is in 2025, I was able to surrender my business to God and really ask him to come into my business, help me to find the right people to serve. to find the people who needed my help. And then I began tithing, which
Yes,
is also a
yes.
really big part of my
Yep.
story. And I just feel like God has really blessed my obedience in that way, and provided for me exceedingly abundantly more than I could even imagine. So last year, 2025, best year yet. It was the first year I've ever made six figures in my life.
Nice.
And now it's June 2026, and
And we're already
I'm
there.
gonna be closing the
Woo.
same amount of volume that I closed in all of 2025. And that's not me. Like, I have to give glory to God for that
Amen.
because it's just incredible. When I trust him, when I surrendered my business over to him, he just continues to provide again and again, and he's so good.
And this is why you were here, but I love that. Okay, what is something that you are leaving behind this week?
Leaving behind. I'm gonna say stress.
Stress? Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
I like
Just
that.
resting into the
Mhm.
flow of things. What I'm practicing, even just in my day so far today, it's 3 p.m., is taking it one task at a time, not thinking six steps ahead, but being truly present where I am,
Yes.
not sweating the things I need to deal
Yeah.
with later.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. So, for the people who don't know who you are, kind of walk us through, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got there.
As far as investing,
As well as far as the real estate, and then we can kind of transition to when you started investing.
oh girl. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Give us the backstory. I want to hear the backstory.
sure. So I moved to Dallas. I
Yes.
think that's the beginning of this journey in 2019,
Mhm.
July 1st. So I'm coming up on my 7
Oh,
year
yeah. Oh, my
anniversary, which
goodness.
is crazy. Moved here, got a job as a personal trainer at
Hmm.
Lifetime. I was there for 6 months and then COVID shut down everything. So I was furloughed and I had no job. 2 months prior to that, I had moved into my own apartment on my own for the first time in my life. So I'm 23 at the time, I believe. First apartment, first big girl
Yeah.
job, and then COVID. So I had to figure things out for myself. It was just such a transitional time in my life. And at that time, my dad gifted me about $10,000. He had some stock for me, and he was like, "Hey, I wanted to give this to you when you bought a house, but
Mm.
now that you're moving out on your own, I think you're ready to figure this out. You're responsible enough." So I sold the stock, and that was the most money I'd ever had in my life.
Yeah.
And so I just felt such a big responsibility to make good decisions with that. And so that kind of kick started my wealth building journey. I took about $1,000, padded my
Mhm.
savings, $2,000, furnished my apartment on Facebook Marketplace.
Wow.
And then that other $7,000 went straight into a Fidelity account.
So, can I just pause you for a second?
Yeah.
What was going on during that time? Because why did your dad decide to give you that 10,000? Because I knew you said that he was waiting for you to buy a house,
Yep.
but like what prompted him to be like, "Hey, I have the stock, that I've been holding on to. Here you go."
Well, when I moved to Texas,
Mhm.
I came here with my boyfriend from college.
Okay.
And so I was completely dependent
Mhm.
on him. No job, no
Oh,
money,
wow.
straight out of college.
Wow.
And pretty quickly I realized I needed to move out and do things for
Yeah.
myself. I had this feeling that I really needed to figure out who I was and
Mhm.
how to do life my way on
Yeah.
my terms
Yep.
and figure out how to carry that
Yeah.
on my own before I was committed to somebody truly long term.
Yeah.
And so I think, your parents just always want to do well to provide for you
Yeah.
and care for you. And uh, the timing just made sense. My dad was like, I wanted to give this to you when you bought a house, but now's just as good. You're going to be providing for yourself. And so I'm sure he thought that would help.
Yeah.
And he was right. It did. It changed the trajectory of my whole life to have this story now.
So you did the really smart thing, which was like putting it to your savings and then using it to buy furniture. What even like prompted you to be like, all right, I'm going to go put this in stock? Like, did you have any understanding? Or your parents really into investing?
I actually thought about that question as I was coming up with the course
Yeah.
for money moves. And I was like, why did I decide that?
Yeah.
I really think that the fact that it came from stock
Hmm.
inspired me to put it back in
Into
stock.
stock. Okay.
And again, that was the largest sum of money that I'd ever seen or
Yeah.
had in my entire life. And so I was like, if this kind of wealth can come from stocks, there must be something there.
Yeah. Wow. So then talk to us about how you made the choices to put it in those specific stock. Were
Sure.
you working in real estate at this time?
At this time, I was a personal trainer.
Okay.
Well, I was at Lifetime.
Okay.
When COVID shut down, I took my stimulus checks
Ah,
and I built
mm.
a gym in my garage. My
Oh,
apartment
wow.
had a single car garage, and that like God had his hand on me the whole time because it just worked out so perfectly. That was the first business I built. So at this time, I'm sitting at the kitchen island. I can still picture it on my laptop watching Dave Ramsey
Oh,
videos,
yeah.
looking up Vanguard mutual funds, opening up my Fidelity account.
Mhm,
And the money just sat there for a while until I was able to feel competent enough to
mhm.
make decisions about what to invest in.
Did you have, like, a financial advisor or anything like that?
I didn't. The funny part of this is when I went into a brick and mortar
Yeah.
Fidelity at first, and they were like, "Yeah, you need to have $50,000 if
Are
you
you
want to
serious?
work with a financial advisor." And I was so
Yeah.
confused. And I 23, I have $7,000. I
Yep.
think this is such a big deal. How dare you?
Yep.
But also I was so confused. I was like, how am I supposed to
Yep.
ever have
Mhm.
$50,000 if no one's willing to help me?
Yeah.
And so I just had to figure it out on my own. But fortunately, with the internet, YouTube, Dave Ramsey, we do have a lot of good resources that
Yeah.
I was able to do that.
I love that because I feel like it really speaks to a lot of people in that particular situation where they don't have $50,000. There's very few
Right.
people who have $50,000 to
Right.
invest because you're thinking about first you want to make sure you have, an emergency fund, a couple of months of expenses
Yep.
before you even start thinking about, okay, let me tie up this money because it's a long-term commitment if
Yep.
you really want to see it grow. And so the
Exactly.
fact that you need $50,000 before someone will even look your way to talk to you, I mean, but that's the reality. You actually need money to make
You
money,
do.
you know?
You do.
But you're giving people kind of this inspiration that you really don't need that much to start.
It's such an important conversation, and you actually brought up a
Mhm.
few of Dave Ramsey's baby steps,
Mhm.
which was where I started.
Yep.
Save $1,000 in an
Yep.
emergency fund. Then save 3 to 6 months of living
Mhm.
expenses. Handle your debt,
Yep.
right? Are you budgeting? There
Yeah.
are so many places to start, but you need to get really honest with yourself and
Yep.
be really transparent. I still have meetings with myself almost every month. I sit down,
Oh, I love
I
that.
write the numbers down. Where's my taxes going? How much is going here? How much are we saving this month? How
Yep.
much are we investing? And I'm always checking in, but you have to start. That's the
Yes.
piece. You have to start. Even if you have $5 a week or $5 a day, you have to start where you are.
Yep.
Just start.
And I love that too, because you talked about budgeting, which I always say is my favorite B word is budgeting. Because I think especially and I've shared this before, 2 out of 3 people do not track their money. They have no budget.
Mhm.
So that's more people than we assume. But really the first step is to know where is your money to begin with?
Yeah.
What are you spending? So I love that you talk about having those consistent meetings with yourself. I always say the most successful people who are doing the best when it comes to money, they know exactly where their money is going. They can
Mhm.
account for every single dollar. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that. Okay. So we're kind of like jumping into that investment part. So I want
Yeah.
to kind of go back to your backstory. So well, first, actually, I'll say this. When it comes to the real estate side, because you started investing while you were still working as a personal trainer, what point did you kind of transition into real estate?
Yeah. So this was 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in 2026.
Yeah.
I just renewed my license. So I've been a realtor for 4 whole years
Okay.
now. So I had been doing my garage personal training gig
Yeah.
for 2 years
Yeah.
at that time. And I love fitness.
Yeah.
I love all things personal training. I love nutrition. Uh, I loved training people.
Mm.
However, what was challenging for me was the turnover. I would build these
Mm,
meaningful relationships
yep.
with women, and then they would, have a life
Yeah.
circumstance come up and they couldn't train anymore, a job loss,
Yep.
things happen. And I felt kind of sad, every
Yeah.
time I had to go find new business. And that turnover was kind of exhausting.
Yeah.
And and there was a ceiling on how much you can make as a
Sure.
trainer because you only have so many hours in a
Mhm.
day. And you are quite literally trading your time for money.
Money. Yep.
And so there's a ceiling on it.
Mhm.
And I just wrote an affirmation one day and I
Mhm.
wrote, I am an investor.
Yes.
And I still say that to myself.
Yeah,
I still
because
have
you
to
are.
remind myself
Yep.
that. I am an investor, and that's still the vision I have for my life. How can I use my money to make my money so that I am not trading time for money?
Yes, because the most expensive thing is your time. And
Mhm.
I love how you talked about that there is a cap to how much you can physically do, especially
Mhm.
if your business is front facing, which personal training, real estate, these are all front facing businesses that it's up to your capacity. And so the fact that you had the wherewithal to be like, no, I'm going to start using my money to make money
Yeah.
is so crucial for anyone listening who is an entrepreneur or who is wanting to build a business. I always say, like, you're your first investor. So your money is even more important. You knowing about your money is even more important because you're the one that's actually going to be financing whatever little side gig, whatever
Yes.
hustle that you're wanting to do, you're the first investor.
Yep.
And what better way to set yourself up than to start finding ways that you can trade your time where you don't have to put as much and still be making money.
Mhm.
So,
Ironically, I always visualized myself investing in real estate,
yes.
but you have to have capital to do that.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh,
And so
yeah.
that was,
Yeah.
and that was my transition into real estate.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm interested in learning more. I had a kind of lull in my personal training business and decided I was going to study for my real estate course. I thought I was going to get like an admin position
Mm,
and learn the real estate business under someone else,
okay.
learn from their business. And I sat down with a recruiter at Keller
Hmm.
Williams. No, she sold me. She was like, "Do you ever want to have a successful real estate business?" I'm like, "Yeah." She
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, then you don't want to be an admin because it's never going to work out for you that way. You need to get out there.
Nice.
You need to dive all the way in." She was
Yep.
like, "Go take your test next week." I was like, "Well, I need to study." She was like, "No, you don't. Schedule it.
Ah,
Take the test."
I love
I
that.
passed the test. I got on the team, and that was the rest was history. I took my personal training clients that I did have and separated them. So I would
Okay.
train very early in the morning or late in the evening. And then the middle portion of the day, I was at Keller Williams
Wow.
studying, training, learning all the real estate things.
So you're saying that you went into real estate because you knew you wanted to become a real estate investor?
Yeah.
That's that's pretty awesome.
And it's a long game,
Yeah.
and I couldn't have pictured the trajectory that that was exactly going to lead me on. But what I can say is where I'm sitting today, I have a much higher ceiling, or no
Yeah.
ceiling really, compared to where I was at that time. And so that's allowing me to invest more, to generate more capital, build more capital to continue to fund future investments, really. Because this, like I said, is still a very long game.
Yep, yep. Oh, so you were able, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially, how were you then able to start investing in real estate? Was it through the gains that you got from investing into the stock market?
Yes.
Nice.
Long story short,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Uh, that was my seed, right? That
Yeah.
initial $7,000 that
Yeah.
went into mutual funds.
Yeah.
I continued contributing and
Hmm.
it's continued growing year over year. And so, full circle, 2023, I bought my first property. I bought my condo, which is where I live currently.
Nice.
And I used that seed, that investment account for my down payment.
Okay, so I feel like somebody is like screaming at me, like, get to the point. What is it that helped you to figure out which funds or investments to make, especially because you didn't have a financial advisor? You're not
Hmm.
a financial advisor, right?
Hmm.
So, how were you able to even figure this out? And how are you still making these decisions to invest now that you've gotten all these gains?
Sure. So I remember sitting at that kitchen counter
Hmm.
doing my
Yeah.
research, watching Dave Ramsey's videos, and he recommended Vanguard mutual funds.
Okay.
That's his whole spiel. Mutual funds, mutual funds, mutual funds. And so I went on Vanguard's website. I started looking up what is a mutual fund.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know,
Yes. Let's let them know.
think about a single stock.
Hmm.
We're buying into a single company. Think Tesla, okay? One single company. That's great because Tesla can do really well and your money can go up. That's also risky in the sense that if Tesla has bad earnings or bad stuff comes out about the company,
Yeah.
that can go down. So that's called volatility and that's a lot of risk. Personally, I don't like risk.
Yeah.
And so the beautiful part of a mutual fund is it diversifies your investment for you.
Okay.
So rather than buying just Tesla, when I buy into a single mutual fund, that's diversified over, anywhere from 50 to 400 companies. And so that's protecting your investment from ups and downs, that
Mm.
volatility. So you're going to have slower, less sexy, but more consistent growth. And that's the game I'm playing. I'm looking for income 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. I'm not worried about what a single stock is going to do for me by the end of the week.
So you're not like into the day trading of it all or, make 1,000 because you hear people talk about, oh, I made $6,000 today, day trading and all these things. Why it sounds like you are kind of the opposite of that. And you- to your credit, most reputable people in the finance space lean more towards safer long-term goals.
Mhm.
So talk to me about like why you didn't really go down the Forex and the day
Girl,
trading of it
how
all.
much time do you have? So, the way I would explain this very simply
Mhm.
is noise.
Yes.
I have a full-time job
Yep.
selling houses already. I don't have the time or the mental capacity to be sitting at my computer behind a screen, analyzing charts, doing stop losses
Yep.
and the stress of it all and trying to time it and predict it. I don't want to do that.
Mm.
So I want something that has a track record.
Yeah.
We have 75 years, the S&P 500 has about 75 years of data showing us that on average the market is going to go up about 10 to 12% per year.
Yep.
I love that. I
Mhm.
want to outperform the market, and my mutual funds typically do. But again, I want proven consistent returns over time, not $1,000 today.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm right there with you because honestly, the stress of it all, I went to a comedy club one time and the opening act, he had lost like $150,000
Oof.
during doing day trading.
Yeah,
And I mean, he was like, I went into a depression because that's insane. Just to win that money and then to lose it. It's like the rush of
that
gambling,
is
if
that
you're
is
not
like
careful.
gambling. And honestly, I don't feel like I am competent enough to
Mhm.
predict these short-term changes.
Yeah.
I don't know. That feels like gambling to me.
So I want you to kind of tell me about your testimony because you kind of alluded
Mhm.
to it. I want you to talk about that pivotal moment for you
Mm.
when you realize, okay, I'm in this situation. I have to figure things out for myself. To where you are now, where your business is growing significantly, like your investments are doing well. Talk a little bit about the journey to get there.
Yeah. So I just think about the young version of me
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur trying so hard to
Mm.
figure things out for herself. And what I can tell you is I always felt like I was striving and I
Yeah.
always felt like I was chasing, and I never felt like I had enough.
Yeah.
It never felt like the end was in sight,
Mm.
that I would ever get where I wanted to go. In about May 2025, so almost a little over a year ago now,
Yeah.
I had a conversation with God. I was in my car. I had been out showing all day. It wasn't a good day,
Mm.
and I was really frustrated. And I remember kind of supplicating with God, going, I'm working so hard and I'm really scared and I need your help and I don't know what to do. Would you just lead me to the people who need my help?
Yeah.
Would you show me who I can serve? Would you bless my business? You can have it. My business, my finances, they're yours. I want to do it your way. And interestingly enough, right around this time was when I began tithing for the
Mm.
first time in my life. And so that next check, right after that supplication conversation with God, he began to provide, and I felt his answer. And when I felt that provision from him, I knew I'm tithing. This came from you. I'm giving you what's yours. And I've been consistent with that for over a year now. And I just really feel like God has worked through that and blessed my business more than I could ever imagine, honestly. Uh, his provision is so good, and I've been able to serve a lot more people, and the
Mm.
interesting part of all of it is while he's blessed me financially, it's also just really changed my heart. From that, I need to strive, I need to
Yeah.
work, I need to chase. Funny enough, I feel like I don't work as hard
Mhm.
now,
Mhm.
and maybe that's not exactly true, but I'm not
It
chasing.
doesn't feel like it.
There's such a flow.
There's ease with it.
There's
Yeah. I can
There's
relate to
so
that.
much ease. God's hand really is on every interaction in my life, and it's just a consistent flow now,
Mhm.
and I'm so grateful.
And I think people get that confused. I brought this up because you had an amazing event called Money Moves, where you shared a lot of this information that you're sharing in more detail with some of the women that were there. And you had a really good turnout. Like it was amazing. Just your testimony and you touching on these things like tithing.
Mm,
And I can genuinely say that there's nobody I know who tithes that has not been able to reap a financial blessing from that. And I feel like, especially for believers, like we almost kind of shy away from that because no one wants to sound like prosperity gospel. But the reality is that God is in the business of blessing people.
mm,
And when you trust God with your finances, you will see the return. It is like, and I think I want for people to get away from that feeling of, oh, I don't wanna share
yeah,
that, "Hey, I tithe and this is what happened." It's 'cause it's not we're not saying like, "If you give money to God, you're gonna get this specific thing." No
right,
one can say that.
right.
But what we can say is, "I have tithed and I have seen how God has been faithful in my business, in my money, where I still work hard
Right.
because in order to." I heard someone say something. It was like that I think they were talking about like there are some things that God cannot do if you will not allow him.
Mm,
So it's like if you're praying like, "Oh, I really want to pass this test," and you refuse to study, it's not going to happen.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like because the way that the world God governs the world with laws,
yeah.
you know? And so hard work, when you work hard, more times than none, you will reap some type of reward.
Girl, it's all in the Bible.
It is. I mean, it is. It's, but people act like they don't want to read
We gotta sow the
it. You
seed.
have
We
to.
have to the story of the 3
Yeah.
talents.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah.
Proverbs.
Yep.
Do you want the best self-help book
Yep.
ever? Just read Proverbs.
Proverbs.
It's there. All the instruction is there. God gives us instruction. And something I said at Money
Mm-hmm.
Moves is our obedience is not for God. God doesn't need us
Yes.
to be obedient.
Yep.
He doesn't give us rules because he loves rules and
Yeah.
he wants to control us. I
Yeah.
don't believe that our Father has that heart.
Yeah.
I believe that he loves us.
Yep.
He loves us so much that he wants to give us all the things that are good.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gives us instruction.
Yep.
And it's for us,
Yep.
right? If we follow the instruction, it's changed my heart. It's given me peace.
Yep.
And he's able to physically provide because I've invited him to. I've
Exactly.
surrendered that over to him. And let me tell you, it is so much easier when you have his help
Yep.
than trying to do this in your own
Oh
strength.
my
We're not
goodness.
meant to do this in our own strength.
And say that part again because the own strength thing, that is what makes because and nobody what you do is not easy to the level at which you do it where it's like showing up, doing showings, driving up and down the place, like investing your time because something like real estate for me like dentistry, it's you get out what you put in.
Mm,
If you sit back and you're just like, whatever, it's just not going to work. And there is a level where you get to that you can only do so much before you're like, "All right, God, I can't. Like, I physically can't keep going. I'm pushing as hard as I can, and I cannot move forward." And that's when, for most people, unfortunately, that's when you start to realize that, okay, either I can completely burn out and crash out and keep striving to the point where I'm just like, I can't do this anymore, or I can just be like, all right, God, please help me.
he
And then that's when that ease comes in, where you're doing more than you've done last year, but it feels easier.
yeah.
That's
You just have to live it.
you do. You have
You
to.
have to
Yep.
experience it because I'm a oldest daughter.
Yep.
I was an only child
Same.
for 10 years. I am an Aries. I am a type A. Like whatever you
Whatever
want to talk
label, you're
about,
right.
I love control. I love to do it my way.
Yep.
And I'm strong and I am
Yep.
capable, right? But I am not as strong and I am
Yep.
not as capable
Yep.
as God.
Nope.
And he has just shown me what it is like to rest and
Yes.
surrender to him. And his hand is just so much mightier than mine. He can do
Yes.
so much more than I can. And you just have to
Yep.
experience his faithfulness through your surrender and your obedience.
Ah, yeah, girl. I have been there. I've been there where I'm trying to do a million and one things. And it's at the point now where I start to just ask God, okay, I was like, okay, I'm really excited about this, but at the end of the day, is this part of the plan?
Mm.
Or do I need to let this go? And
Mm.
I feel like God has been telling me certain things to just lay them down. And it doesn't even mean for forever, because it might be something that you pick back up. But there was like an interesting conversation I had with my husband, and we were talking about, I was talking about like the scripture, like God gives you the desires of your heart.
Yeah.
And I feel like I had this like revelation where it's like we think about it as God gives you, okay, like I desire something, God gives it to me. But it's like, no, God actually like gives you the desire that you have
Mm.
because he's going to fulfill that.
Mm.
So one of my business partner, her husband, he told me and my husband, he was like, pay attention to the little things,
Yeah.
like those little, all of a sudden where you're just like, huh, that would be cool if I did X, Y, and Z,
Mm.
or those little dreams that you have where you're just like, what if I like, started a brand, or what if I started a podcast? You get these ideas, and I believe God puts those ideas into your mind, and
Amen.
it may get stored away. You may be like, man, no, I can't do that. Like, I can't. That'd be too much. How am I going to do that? But if you really start to, when you get those, start to be like, is that like, God, is that something that you want me to do? And like, start asking, like, hey, God, what
Yes.
is this? What is this thing? What is this idea? Is this you? Is this something that you want from me? God will reveal it to you. And
Yeah.
it may not be right in this moment, but you just start keeping track. Then you're able to recall back and be like, wow, God, like, you gave me this idea. This idea for this podcast came around like 2019 when I was
Mm.
still in dental school.
Wow.
And I was like, so like, what am I going to talk about? But even prior to that, when I was younger, I was telling you, I was like, I wanted to, do acting. I wanted to have a talk show at some point. It's all kind of like lining up to where I'm at now.
Mm.
And God has been sustaining me because it's not as easy, but there is ease because God is sustaining it.
What I'm hearing is alignment.
Yes.
You're
Yep.
moving in alignment, and also you're seeking God.
Yeah.
You're consulting God in your decisions before you jump into
Yep.
action. And then something I know to be true about you too is you take action.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we're
And sometimes I
conditioned.
take action before I actually ask, and then I have to circle back.
Yep, yep, you always gotta circle back. But it's so important, both of those pieces.
Yeah.
Consulting God is so
Yep.
important, and taking action is
Yep.
also so important. And I think culturally, we are conditioned to ignore
Yeah.
those desires of our heart because maybe they're not realistic.
Oh, yeah.
I think about some conversations that I had
Mhm.
when I was young. Oh, that's not a real job. Can't do that.
Mhm.
You know, those are there for a reason.
Yeah.
Your personality, your interests, the things that light you up, those aren't there by accident.
Yep.
And I'm actually working through a book right now called The Artist's Way.
Oh, yeah, I remember you telling me about this. Yeah.
Yes. And the whole concept is
Mm.
we are created by a creator
Yeah.
in his image. So therefore, naturally, we are
Creators. Yep.
creators. We are creative. It is in our nature.
Yep.
And so many of us are sleeping on the gifts that God has placed within us because we listen to culture or we listen to
Yep.
society and we think, oh, we listen to the doubt. That's not going to work. That's not for me. There's too many steps involved.
Yep.
I'm not capable. You are. You are. If it's in there and it's consistent and it's persistent in your heart, pursue God.
Yes.
Ask Him.
Yep.
Ask Him to guide your steps and show you how to move that dream forward.
Yep.
And jump into action
There
when
you
He tells
go. You
you.
have to. I want you to even, because this is such a good, what we're talking about right now. I want you to even talk about just even coming up with the money moves thing. Because if we look at it realistically, right?
Mm.
You're not a financial advisor. You've had this experience. You're a realtor.
Mhm.
There's so many things that could have told you like, no, you're not qualified to have this conversation. Even though what you did at that event, it impacted all of those women there. They were asking questions, like you really educated you even like sat down with me
Mhm.
and like we went over my finances and my investments. And it's so funny, quick side, when she was like looking through all of my stocks, it was like, why did you invest in these? And I was like, honestly, I don't know. I was just going off vibes. Like truly. And you were like, I am challenging you to actually look at what the performance is. And you really taught me how to do all of those things. And I just feel like how sad it would have been if you decided that this is not realistic. This
Mm.
is just not a realistic thing to do. Let me just focus on realistic, or even before then, let me just focus on personal training, and not taking that leap
Mm,
forward to educate yourself and then be able to share.
yeah.
So talk a little bit about.
Sure. And it's so funny, like our
Yeah.
stories, how they're so
Yeah.
intertwined. But I have been praying for a while and I
Mhm.
said to God, God, you know my heart. You know I'm passionate about a couple of things.
Yeah.
That's fitness, that's finances, and that's my real estate
Yep.
business. And I was asking him, give me clear direction, what you want me to focus my time and energy on right now. I feel like I have the capacity to do something.
Mhm.
What should I do? This financial thing just kept coming up in my heart. With my story, the information that I've learned, I feel it's important to share that
Yeah.
and empower other women. I had been sitting down with a couple of my girlfriends just one on one over coffee for fun to share this information.
Yeah.
And I left those interactions feeling so fulfilled and so excited for all of them to begin their journey. I can't wait to see where they are in 5 years,
I
you
know,
know?
right?
Um, and so that was kind of evident to me.
Mhm.
Hey, this is something that I really enjoy. And so, full circle, I was at your brunch,
Yes, yes,
your
our wealth
women in
loan.
business
Yep.
brunch.
Mhm.
And I sat next to your sister,
Yes.
Frances.
Which fun story, sidebar for the people who don't know, we had a wealth, wellness, and womanhood brunch. And it was the first one. It was just me gathering some of the women that I admire so much. And I've just been watching from afar. I'm like a collector of people where it's
Yes.
just like, I love that thing that's in you. And so I was like, oh, Megan, I have to have you there. And I purposely sat you next to my sister because I knew that you would have a lot of wisdom for her because of y'all had similar life situations
Yeah.
going on at that time. And when I tell you afterwards, she was just like, my goodness, like, I'm so glad you sat me next to Megan. Like, we had such a great conversation. Y'all went out for coffee afterwards. And she was just so blessed by that interaction.
Was so blessed by that interaction. It was crazy because a few days prior to your event,
Uh-huh.
I kind of word vomited all of these ideas on paper.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so if I was going to teach this is what I would teach. And
Wow.
then I put that into a PowerPoint the night before your event.
That's so crazy.
And I sat next to Frances, and I had no idea that we were gonna talk about this at all.
Yeah.
But you prompted a question,
Yeah.
"What is a project that you're working on right now?" And I was almost hesitant to share. I said, "This is, like, crazy,"
Yeah.
but, I put all my ideas for this Money Moves event together. I just wanna share this information with other women. I think it's important. And Frances lit up.
Yeah.
She was like, I needed that. I still need that.
Yes.
Can we sit down? Can you teach me all the things? She knows so much about
Yeah.
investing too. And she was just it felt like the answer to the prayer I had been
Yeah.
asking God, show me, where do you want me to spend my energy? And she just affirmed, this is really important. Women need this. There's a need for
Wow.
this. Go, run, do it. And so, kind of in that moment, I knew I have to do this. And we set a date to it.
Mhm.
I just kept telling everybody it was happening.
That's what you gotta do it.
The date first
Yeah.
matters because then I had to get all the
Yep.
other pieces in place in the right time
Yep.
frame for that to come together, and it just came together so beautifully. And we had, 13, I think, women in
Yeah.
the room. All of them are from our church
Yes,
too.
yes,
It's just
yes,
crazy. Like, when you are in alignment,
yes.
God can do
It just
so
works
much.
out.
God does so much with
Yeah,
that.
it works out so, like, and I don't wanna say seamlessly because sometimes I think people can confuse, um, uh a little bit of hard, like when something is hard
Mm,
and they may think, maybe God, this isn't what you have for me.
sure.
There are challenges, but those challenges, God uses those to help grow us.
Yes.
But there is an ease when you're in alignment
Yeah.
because it doesn't feel as strenuous. You feel like, wow, I worked hard to put this together. I fought through the anxiety, the
Mhm.
the the self-doubt,
Yeah.
and I put this together, and now look at how blessed people are from this. That was like when I knew is that when I asked you to come on the podcast?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Right after
Yes,
the
I was like,
event.
"Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
we
in the
we have
room.
to, we
Yes.
have to." So, I'm so that blesses me though, because just like you, when I decided to do the brunch, I was like, "Okay, put a date." Once you put the date, once you tell everybody about the date,
Yeah.
then you just have to do
You
it.
have to
You
do
have to
it.
figure it
You've
out.
told too many people at that point.
Exactly.
Watching you put that together and just do it,
Yeah.
just host it, gave me the inspiration.
Oh,
If
thank you.
she can do that and
Wow.
just move on the things that she's passionate about, Why am I not doing that?
Yes.
So you putting that table together, you asking that specific question, like you are such a part of my story
That's so
too. It's so
crazy.
special
Oh,
and God just works through people.
no, for real. And even just like the randomness in how we became friends, it's just so crazy of like church bringing us together.
Yeah.
And then it's like from there, you're helping one of our friends find her like first home,
Yeah.
which is so amazing. And it's just those things of just, you know, you just watch people and you never know who's really watching what you're doing. And
Mhm.
if you ever feel discouraged, like, am I making an impact? Just being faithful to
Mhm.
whatever it is that you're doing and that God has placed on you, you just don't know the impact that you're having. And I admire you a lot. Like, I admire just your resilience. I admire that tenacity of like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and do it because that I know that that's not easy. I know that that's not easy. And the event was amazing.
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Okay. So, let's talk about money moves.
Sure.
Talk to me just about where you see this. I know we kind of talked about this
Mm.
before, but I want you to talk to me about what God has been telling you about where money moves is going and what's the heart of it. What do you want women to get out of money moves?
To be honest with you, looking at my journey the
Hmm.
past 6 years since I began this investment journey and the information I've acquired, I just feel it's so easy.
Yeah.
I feel it's so accessible to us, and I feel that women are such an underserved community
Yes.
in the financial space,
Mm.
whether we're just uneducated or it doesn't feel important or it feels overwhelming
Yep.
or scary. What I say is it takes a little bit of education up front. You
Yeah.
have to invest a little bit of time and understand some pretty basic concepts. If you can do that and you can make consistent contributions year over year, month over month, it's going to grow. It's going to compound.
Mhm.
And when I saw this play out in my life, I just felt so passionate that I had to share this with other women. And those coffees with my friends, they left feeling empowered and
Mm.
excited to talk about money, not burdened by it. And so I'm not exactly sure how this is going to play out.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm thinking I'll host these quarterly here in
Yes.
Dallas. And then I would love to also offer this online
Yeah.
as it continues to grow, so that people can access this from anywhere and do it on their own terms. Again, it's so simple. I just feel like I need to get this information in front of as many women as possible.
Yes, I 100,000% agree. And I will be at all of those quarterly meetings because it's stuff that as you hear it, it keeps reminding you.
Mm,
And I think you just get blessed by the women who are also gravitating towards that. One
yeah.
of the people I interviewed because she has certification in Claude is from your event. And
My
so
bestie Juju.
exactly. And it's just like, I love the way that these types of things bring people together and create a community. And I talk about having like a peer system. There's a difference between having a support system. Your support
Mm,
system are your friends, your family who love you no matter what, right?
that's
But then you
good.
need those people who they can see the vision of what you're trying to build and they want to go along the journey with you. They may not know exactly what you're doing, but they too, they're also working on things. So it doesn't feel as crazy when you're having the conversation of, man, I really feel like God is calling me to scale this business. Because your friends and your family, you know,
They don't always get
they don't
it.
always get
They love
it.
you,
They love you.
but they don't always get
They don't
it.
see the vision.
You know, it's such a good point that you
Yeah.
bring up because I want in,
Yeah.
right? And I'm finding that now. I'm finding that through you, through your sister, through
Hmm.
Juliana. We all have things that we are
Yep.
passionate about, that we are working on, and
Hmm.
we're building things. It's hard
Yeah.
to find people,
Yep.
women,
Yep.
that are doing that in their own lives. So, yes,
Yep.
let's all empower one another, show up for one another, learn from each other. It's so great.
What does success mean to you now?
Mm.
Now that you've, you know, on paper, through anyone looking at you, to be like, wow, this is a woman of success. What does it look different from when you were younger versus now? Kind of talk to me a little bit about that. What your thoughts?
This is a great question.
Yeah.
And I think there's a little bit of fluidity to it.
Yeah.
I think for so long I was so fixated on finances,
Mhm.
and maybe that's ironic because I'm teaching about finances and we're having a
Yep.
conversation about wealth building. But that's only one piece of the puzzle.
Yep.
And that's what I've learned. As I continue to get older, my eyes are just more open to all the other places
Yeah.
that I am wealthy.
Ugh,
in my life, and
I love
that's through my relationship with God.
yes.
That's through my community. God has
Mhm.
blessed me with, like, the most incredible community.
Yes.
That's through my health and my
Mhm.
fitness,
Mhm.
my wellness. I love
There
your
you
brand.
go.
I
Oh,
love your
thank
brand.
you. Thank
Wealth,
you. No,
wellness,
you
like,
and you really
I really understand the brand. I love the brand.
Thank you.
But success to me is a lot more. Finances are a big piece of that.
Yeah.
You know, we need resources
Yeah.
to own a home, to
Mhm.
provide for our families, to have experiences,
Yep.
but at the end of the day, we can't take our finances with us when we go. We have our people. We have our people, we have our memories, we have our eternity in heaven.
Mhm.
There's a lot more to it than just money.
What is something that people see from the outside that looks easy, but for you, it's actually really hard to sustain? And this could be in your real estate business, this could be in your investing journey, or even in your fitness.
Mm.
Like something that someone would just kind of look at you and be like, oh, I'm sure that's easy,
I will take that the real estate route.
Okay.
I think that a lot of people have this conception that real estate is just so easy
And so glamorous.
and so glamorous.
And I've watched Selling Sunset.
Selling Sunset is not real
Yes, but
life.
their outfits.
It's their outfit.
Their
It's literally a
outfits.
fashion
Yeah, I
show.
mean, I love the outfits.
I
I
love
can't
the
even lie.
outfits
Yeah.
too, but it's TV, it's
It's TV.
drama, it's all the
Exactly.
things.
Exactly.
Real estate is not an easy game.
Mm,
I think that it takes a lot of tenacity or endurance to keep showing up
yeah.
when there's nothing,
Mm,
when there's nothing in the pipeline, when there is nothing pending, when there is no income on the horizon.
wow.
How do you still show up? How do you stay calm?
And what is like the average for someone who is, if someone was trying to go into real estate,
Mm.
what could you expect of those dry seasons? Like how big or how wide can a dry season be?
It depends.
Mm,
For me, I was very fortunate. I had
yeah.
great training. I was able to close 3 deals, but it took 3 months. So
Wow.
it took me 3 months getting things going, and then I was able to close those 3. So for 3 months, there was no income.
Wow.
So you either need to have enough savings to
Hmm.
where you can go all in,
Yeah.
or you need to have another job.
Yeah.
And when I joined the team, my team leader said to me, "You're a personal trainer. You're going to need to keep those clients
Oh,
because you're not going
wow.
to make any money in this business for a minute."
Okay.
And that was great advice
Yeah.
because that fed me until I was able to. And I kept personal training a little
Mhm.
bit for about 2 years until went full 100% all in on real estate. It takes time.
Wow.
You have to build trust with the people around you, and they have to know that you're in real estate. And they
Mhm.
have to know that you're not playing around, that you actually do this full time. Just because you have a real estate license doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to pick up the phone and call you and you're gonna have a line out the door of people
That's
who wanna
true.
do business with you. That's not
That's
how this
yeah.
works. You gotta show up.
Yep. Especially for something like as personal as someone's home.
Right.
That's like the biggest purchase that they'll probably make in their lives.
Right.
And you don't want to, and okay, yeah, we're friends, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to me spending all this money, I want to make sure that like you know what you're doing. And so I love that you're giving that advice of like take it seriously, let show up and make sure that people know, what your brand is and what you stand for because I always say like your friends and your family, they love and support you. But a lot of times your business is not actually for your friends and family.
Mm-mm.
It's for the people who don't know you.
Yep.
But when your friends and family trust you with their business, it's a big deal and you need to respect that.
That's great.
Yeah.
The first 2 years of my business, all of it
Yeah.
came from open house leads. That's how I built my real estate business,
Wow.
working with people who I didn't know.
Yep.
And then about year 2 is when that started transitioning,
Hmm.
and now I'm about last year was 50-50, open houses and sphere.
Yeah.
So friends, referrals, people I know. This year I think is going to be a little bit heavier on the sphere
Yep.
side, which is amazing. But that's still only one piece of the
Yep.
puzzle.
Hmm. I love that. Okay. So this part, I wanted to give some advice for the audience. And we can kind of take it whatever direction you want. If you want to talk a little bit about real estate, if you want to talk a little about investing or even personal fitness, what is one piece of advice that you would give the listener who is starting in your industry? They're just starting,
Mm.
whether it be real estate or maybe just starting an investment journey or have a similar dream of building a brand. What's one piece of advice that you want them to take away from this conversation?
Keep showing up.
Um,
And this is my advice in every area of my
yeah.
life. When I was a personal trainer, that was my motto for my personal training clients.
Hmm.
I had one woman, she lost a lot of weight, and she said, one time I lost a lot of weight. I ate a Snickers and it derailed everything.
Yes, I've been there.
I fell off and I gained it all back.
Yeah.
And I said, okay,
Yeah.
if you eat a Snickers, I don't care.
Yeah.
I want you to show up the next day.
Yeah.
And that became my motto. Just keep showing up.
Yeah.
I don't care what you did yesterday. Show up today. And that is true in every industry and in every job and in every long term goal. In your fitness, I ate ice cream last night on the couch. Do you know what I did this morning?
What'd you do this
I
morning?
went to the gym.
Love it.
Keep showing up in your finances too. You might have a bad year. The
Mhm.
market might be down. That doesn't change how you show up.
Yeah.
You have to be consistent and continue to show up, continue to make those contributions
Mhm.
every day.
So if someone notices that the stock market's tanking, they shouldn't grab all their money out of it.
I love this. No, don't panic.
Yes.
Don't
Yeah.
panic.
Yeah.
The market's about to move down pretty
Yeah.
significantly. Don't freak out.
Mhm.
This is historical. Go ask ChatGPT to show you the graphs historically over
Yeah.
the last 75 years of
It's
the
a lot of
economy. It does. It goes
yeah.
up and it goes down.
Yeah.
We're not looking at this short term, right?
Mhm.
Play it out. Zoom out.
Yeah.
If you're freaked out, you need to zoom out.
That's good. I like that. I'm gonna clip that. My editor, if you're listening, clip that part. Okay. What is a non-negotiable to success in your industry?
Hmm. Real estate,
Either one. Either one.
non-negotiable to
Mhm.
success.
To success in real like, let's do real estate.
I
Non-negotiable to success in real estate.
In addition
Mhm.
to keep showing up, I would say prioritize relationships.
That is so good. That is so good.
You got to show up everywhere. In addition to that, you have to value relationships. When I stopped looking at my job as a way to make money and I started looking at it as a vehicle to building
Mhm.
relationships, everything changed.
Yes.
And that's the long game, I think, in any industry. Who am I building relationships with? Friendships, community, professionally, you don't burn a bridge. You
Yes. Don't burn a bridge.
stay on good terms.
Treat people well.
And for me, having good resources is
Mhm.
really important. I'm a connector.
Mhm.
So if I know you and you would get along, I want to connect you.
Yes.
Same in my profession. If I know you need this and I know somebody who does that, I'm going to connect
Mhm.
you. I think that that's really important in any industry as well as value those relationships.
And I love that because it's not always about what can I get out of this?
It's
Like,
never
right?
about that. If it's about that, you're doing it wrong.
Completely wrong. And you're not gonna win that way.
You're not
True
going
in
to
the
win.
long term.
That's a scarcity
It
mindset.
is. It is.
That's a big thing that's
Yeah.
transitioned for me over the past couple of
Mhm.
years is again, that striving is
Mhm.
coming from a place of scarcity. I'm not in this for me. I'm not in this to make money.
Yep.
And the irony in that is when you release that, the money
Starts to
flows, the
flow.
relationships
Yep.
flow, the business flows, and that ease and that alignment that we
Mhm.
talked about come into the picture.
Because it's not we're not desperate here because we know that God is sustaining us, but we
Amen.
show up because we know that we're in alignment with what God is telling us to do. So
Absolutely.
you keep going, you keep showing up, you do it with
Yeah.
excellence. And that's another big thing too that I feel like you do so well. And I know this just from observing you that there is a level of excellence to what you do. And I admire people who even if it's I'm not get because like your money moves, you didn't get any money from that. You when you were sitting with people, you're not getting any money from that. But you show up, your like I said, your event was beautiful.
Thank you.
There was details. You paid attention to the details. You wanted things to be a certain way.
Yeah.
That's a level of excellence that I feel like people miss where they're like, well,
Mm.
if I'm not getting anything out of it, I'm not gonna try. If I'm not getting paid, why am I gonna I'm gonna almost like gatekeep the people. And like recognizing like, "Hey, I have been called to do something. if I don't even get a dime, I'm going to show up with excellence because one day I know I'm going to reap from this because what you reap is what you sow. So just don't be so desperate.
Amen. Don't do it. One of our core values in my real estate
Hmm.
team is serve others, love others.
Oh, I like that.
That is our brand as a
Yes.
team. We all go to Shoreline.
Hmm.
That came from the
The whole
Shoreline culture.
the whole team goes Shoreline?
My team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Allie, Jordan, Allie's husband,
Oh,
myself. Yeah.
wow.
All Shoreline. It's
Nice.
God,
Shout out to Shoreline. Yeah.
when I tell you God has just like been
Yes.
chessing in my
Yeah.
life, it's so crazy.
You know what's so funny is that people will ask me, "How do you make so many friends moving back?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm in church." So like,
Seriously.
specifically Shoreline City in Dallas, they do community so well that even people who don't go to that church will find themselves in connect groups, will find
Yeah.
themselves meeting people. So that's one of the things I really like about that.
They value
Hmm.
community as a culture and they
Yeah.
instill that in us, right? Because
Hmm.
church is not about showing up on Sundays. You are the church. And we're
Exactly.
called to be the church in the world and
Exactly.
we're called to community. And
Yeah.
I'm so blessed that that's the case.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
If we're taking this back to the investment
Hmm. Yes.
conversation, it would be freaking out
Yeah.
and selling.
Yeah.
Because again, we touched on that. Zoom out,
Hmm.
first of all. But second of all, when you sell, if something goes down and you sell, you actually lose.
Yeah. That's
That's
true.
where you capture that loss.
Yeah.
You realize the loss. If you wait, I showed you this.
You did. I
I
was literally about
showed
to
you
say
this in my
that.
own
Yeah.
portfolio. I said, look, last week it was
Uh-huh.
down $5,000.
Yeah.
If I sold, I would have lost $5,000. But
Yeah.
if I waited a few more days, it was back up.
Yeah.
Almost all that $5,000 was back up,
Wow.
right? So don't sell. That's where you lose. Just wait.
Yep.
Just breathe.
Yep.
Just be patient. Write it out.
That's really good advice. I love that. Okay. All right. So this is the minding my business section. This is where we just give rapid fire questions to help you in your pursuit of wealth. And wealth, as we talked about, is more than just money,
Yeah.
but then also helping you to nurture your wellness. Okay. So what question? This is rapid fire. So just the first thing that you can think of. What is one money move that every woman listening should make in the next 30 days?
If you don't have an individual brokerage account, open one
Good.
and contribute to it.
There we go. Okay. Wellness. What is an undefeated wellness hack that helps you prevent burnout?
Don't overdo it.
Hmm.
If you can only work out twice a week, do that.
That's good.
You don't need to
I
go
like
4 or
that.
5 days a week. If you're starting at 0, commit to 1 day a week.
Yeah.
Start small.
Yeah. Because then some people are like, oh, okay, I'm going to start on Monday and I'm going to go 6 times a week. I have done that.
That's where we get the yo-yo,
Yeah.
right? Because we
Yeah.
overwhelm ourselves so early
Yeah.
that it feels impossible. And so we think the all or nothing mindset is true. It's not true.
Yeah.
You can start with 2 and then add. You can always build from there.
Good. Okay. Womanhood. What do you know about being a woman in business that you wish someone had told you sooner?
Be a nice girl. Be a girl's girl.
Be a girl's girl.
We love a girl's
Yes.
girl.
Yes, we do.
Also, girls, like, that's the secret sauce. I love my girlfriends.
Yes.
Like, you guys are my family here. My family's all in Florida.
Oh.
My girls are my family.
Yes.
Be a girl's girl.
Be a girl's
Smile.
girl.
Compliment each other.
Yes.
There's so much abundance, so much love to be found in your female friendships.
Yes.
Don't be a mean girl.
I love that. Well, thank you so much again, Megan. This is such a great conversation that we had. And I can't wait for the listeners to listen to this and really gain so much wealth and wisdom and knowledge from you. And I just thank you so much again.
Thank you so much for having me. This was such a great experience.
So can you please tell the listeners where they can find you if they're looking for a house, if they're interested in learning more about money moves and what the future is, if they're interested in fitness stuff, because I know I'm going to be asking you about what the workouts that you're doing, honey. Tell us kind of the
Instagram would be the best place to find me. Everything is there. I post about my fitness. I post about real estate. I post about all my personal stuff. That's the one place. So it's just my name, Megan_Noble_ on Instagram.
And I'll put that in the show notes. All right. And then, so thank you again. And if you liked this episode and you loved learning about all things wealth, wellness, and womanhood, please follow us on Instagram, TikTok. We're Wealth, Wellness, and Womanhood. And then my Instagram is sin_Hammonds. You can also find us on Substack. And then we also have a newsletter that comes out so that you can learn more about our women empowerment brunches and the events that we're going to have in the future. So thank you guys so much again for listening. This has been such a great episode, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.